Hi, I'm Mike Brewer, pastor of the Blue Ash Presbyterian Church, and this is Mike's midweek message. Thanks for dropping in. As I record this, it's snowing outside, and we are on the verge of December, and I can tell you that the holiday season has arrived in my neighborhood. I took a quick, brisk walk around the block last night before I went to bed, and all of a sudden, the houses on our street are adorned with Christmas lights, and the yards are full of inflatable Christmas figures. There are reindeer and polar bears. I saw the Grinch and Mickey Mouse and Snoopy. There are enough Santas on the lawns on my street alone to form a good-sized parade through downtown New York City. They're beautiful. They light up the neighborhood, and I love them. I love Christmas decorations. At least that's what they look like at night, all inflated and lit up. But during the day, people often turn the pumps off, and those beautiful inflated figures settle into sad little rubber and plastic multicolored puddles on the front lawns, looking empty and somehow bereft. You and I have something in common with those inflatable figures. From the very first, you and I have been inflatable people as well. Way back in the second chapter of Genesis, God kneels down in the dirt in the Garden of Eden, shapes a little figure out of mud, and then breathes his breath, his divine breath of life into that figure. And Adam became a living being. Well, I think what was true then is still true now. Whatever life we have in us comes from God. It is the breath of God breathing in us that makes us living and moving and thinking and doing beings. Call it breath, call it spirit. It is the same word in Hebrew. Actually, in the Greek New Testament, it's also the same word for spirit or breath or wind. You know, I take seriously the prologue to John's Gospel when it says that Jesus came into the world and his life became the light that enlightens every human being. I think that light lives in each of us. I think the Spirit of Christ lives in each of us. The only question is whether we let that Spirit fill us or whether we try to tamp it down, keep it under control, squeeze it out of the way so that we can somehow inflate ourselves. But you know what happens? If you do manage to inflate yourself, you find out that you're just full of yourself. And there's not much to that. In his letter to the Ephesians, Paul prays that Christians might be filled with all the fullness of God. I think that Spirit of God living in us and given room to grow in us and fill us, that's what makes the difference between abundant life and going through the motions. That's what makes the difference between a beautiful, lit up, colorful, inflatable figure shining in the night and a sad, droopy little hump of plastic and rubber rained on in the daytime. Now, there is another way to think about this. We can talk about being filled with the Spirit and the life of God, or we can talk about the way we normally think of breath. That is, we breathe in, we breathe out. The wind comes in us and goes out of us again. We can think of that as a way of offering God's Spirit as well. We breathe that Spirit in, and then we let it pass through us and back out into the world again. One of the favorite nativity sets at my house is a set that was made in, I believe, in Peru. We have a whole set of them. I'm just showing you Joseph and Mary. And what makes these interesting is that they are not only nativity figures, they are also whistles. Let's see here. That's Mary. And here's Joseph. Of course, you know how a whistle works. Breath comes in and breath comes out. And when the breath comes out again, it makes a joyful noise. What if that were our goal? If that were our model for life? Letting God's Spirit breathe into us and then letting that Spirit move through us out into the world as a song, as a word of encouragement, as a moment of praise and prayer, as a joyful noise? What would that mean to you and me? What would the world look like if more of that happened? So whether you want to think about being filled up with the life of God or letting that life flow through you, I think that says something to us about being Christians and about being fully and truly alive and about making ourselves available to God. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope we can get together again soon. In the meanwhile, be strong, be safe, and be faithful. Thanks. Bye-bye.